Hello, my friend. It's English History Channel. Today we talk The Lone Tank of Raseiniai, a story of unbelievable courage. I'm here to share a jaw-dropping story that sounds like it's straight out of the holiday blockbuster. But it's 100% real. Picture this: a single Soviet tank manned by a handful of brave souls, holding off an entire German division for nearly 2 days during the early days of the World War II. This isn't just a war story, it's a tale of the grit, guts, and standing tall against impossible odds. To get why this story is such a big deal, let's rewind to June of 1941. Nazi Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion of history, aimed at conquering the Soviet Union. The German army, riding height of the victories in Poland and France, thus they'd steamroll through the Soviets. Their tanks, planes, and troops were cutting edge, and they moved fast, overwhelming the Red Army in the early days. The Soviets were caught off guard, struggling with chaos, poor communication, and not enough supplies. But the Soviets had a secret weapon, the KV-1 tank. This beast was the game changer. Thick armor, a powerful 17 6mm gun, and design that made it the nightmare for German. While German tanks like the Panzer III and Panzer IV were solid, they could punch through the KV-1 armor. The German standard 37mm and 50mm anti-tank guns, very much useless against it. Only their 88mm anti-aircraft guns, responsible for tank busting, could take it down, but those were rare and hard to deploy. This where our story kick off, in a small Lithuanian town called Raseiniai, where one KV-1 tank became a legend. Raseiniai, it's a quiet town in Lithuania, turned into a battlefield in June of 1941. The German 1st Tank Group, led by Erich Hoppner, was tearing through the Soviet northward front. On June 22nd, they captured in the nearby town called Tuareg and pushed toward Raseiniai. Their 45th Motorized Corps, including the 6th Tank Division, smashed through to Soviet infantry division and kept changing. But on the morning of June 23rd, the Soviets hit back. The 2nd Tank Division of the Red Army, with about 250 tanks, including around 50 KV-1s, rolled in the battle. Those KV-1s were a shock to the Germans. Their heavy armor shrugged off the most German shells, and for a moment the Soviets pushed the German back. But the counterattack fizzled out fast. The Soviets ran low and full and armor, and German brought and heavy artillery, rocket launches, and air support. But June 26, the Soviet division was half surrounded. Their commander, Major General Yegorov Solyankin, was killed, and they started retreating east. Communication with their headquarters was cut off, and looked like the German had an upper hand. Then something incredible happened, an episode that turned the Battle of Raseiniai into the legend. One tanks with division. How it all started. Of June 24th, around noon, a lone Soviet tank, KV-1, appeared on the road landing north from Raseiniai. Nobody knows exactly how it got there. Maybe it broke down and the crew fixed it. Maybe it got separated from its unit in the house and retreat. A historian named Maxim Kolomits tracked down a witness, a local who was just a teenager back then. He said the Soviet tank crew visited their farm, asking if there was a fuel nearby. They couldn't find any, but they refused to abandon their tank, which was still in fighting shape with a full load of ammo. So they decided to stay and fight. This tank parked right in the middle of the road. Not the best spot for defense, wide open and exposed. But they chose turn into massive headage for Germans. Imagine an entire German division, hundreds of tanks, trucks, and thousands of soldiers stopped dead in their truck, but by one tank. For almost 2 days, it held them at bay, and the Germans were freaking out. The German shock, trying to take down the KV-1. The German commander, Colonel Erhard Raust, wrote about the battle in his memories. And you can feel the frustration in with his words. When the Germans spotted the tank blocking on the road, there through it was the start of the Soviet counterattack. But their scouts confirmed it was just on one tank, no other Soviet force around. Sounds like an easy fix, right? Wrong. That KV-1 was about to give them a masterclass in defense. Try number 1, 50mm anti-tank guns. Rouse didn't waste time. He sent a battery of brand new 50mm anti-tank guns, killed Park 3-8, to deal with the tank. These were top-of-the-line weapons, designed to punch through most tanks of the era. The gunners set up 600mm away, and deadly range, or so they through. They were confident they knock out the tank in no time, but the KV-1 didn't budge. It took 8 direct hits before it's ever reacted. Then it started slowly turned, locked onto the German guns and started firing. One shot, bomb. One gun was throat tossed. Another shot, another gun destroyed. 2 of the 4 guns were smashed to bits. The other 2 were badly damaged, and the German lost several men. They only managed to drag the wrecked guns away under cover of the darkness. What about tanks? Still sitting here. burning German supply trucks and blocking the road. Try number 2, 150 mm howitzers. The German didn't give up. Next they tried using of 150 mm howitzers, big gun loved by German troops for their massive exploded shells. Dragging them into direct fire was too risky, so they fired from the distance, lobbing shell in the arc. Problem was, this kind of shooting wasn't precise. Shells exploded near the tank, but none hit directly. The shrapnels just a sprinkle of the KV-1's armor, doing their damage. After a few tries, the German gave up on this idea. Try number 3, the 88 mm anti-aircraft gun. But now Rouse knew they needed something heavier. The only weapon that's called reliable take out the KV-1 was the 88 mm anti-aircraft gun, the Flak 36. They hauled one from Raseiniai and sent it up at 500 meters from the tanks, using smoke from the burning trucks and cover. The German, through the smoke, would hide them, but the Soviet tank crew was one step ahead. The tank didn't move, while the German positioned the guns. The crew waited until the gunners started setting up, and the moment when the gun couldn't fire it. Then the KV-1 turret swung around the fire. The fire shot hit their gun, damaged it. A few more shots finished it off, killing several gunners and forcing the rest to run. The gun's machine gun kept firing, preventing the German from recovering the gun of their dead. They won and did the German eating dry rations, unable to get their filed kitchen through, and a morale in the dumps. Try number 4, suppers in the night. With artillery fighting, Rouse switching tactics. They got their 12 volunteer sapper to sneak up of the tank in the night and blow it up with explosive. It sounded like a solid plan, but things went sideways fast. As the sapper got closer, they saw locals approaching the tanks. Tune out. Norby farmers were bringing food to the tank crew. The Germans, not waiting to blow their cover, had to hide in the dirt from hour on hour until the local left. Finally, they crept up, placed 2 charges, one the truck, one the hull, and detonation them. The explosion lit up on the night, and the sappers threw they won. But then the tank machine gun roared to life, spraying bullets everywhere. The KV-1 didn't move. Maybe its truck was damaged, but it was still in fighting. The sappers slunk back to their lines, no longer sure they succeeded. Try number 5, bomber that never came. By the morning of the June 25th, the Germans were desperate. Without supplies, their division was stuck and their advance was grinding to a halt. Rouse called for U-87 dive bombers, now as Tucan, to take out the tank, but the Luftwaffe had out the plant. They told Rouse they had a bigger target to hit and it doubled they called score of direct hit, one a single tank. Plus, they knew slow mice or wanted to face the Kiwi-1 or its crew. Rouse was left to figure it out on his own. Try number 6, the final showdown. Rouse had a last plan. It was a risk one. He didn't like it, but he had no choice. The idea was to stage a fake tank attack to distract the KV-1 while another 88mm gun sneaked up from behind. He sent a battalion of light charge tank, Panther 38TS, to harass the KV-1. This tank could penetrate its armor with their 27mm guns, but their colonel annoyed. The plan worked. The Kiwi-1 started firing at the Czech tanks, maybe worried about like it should damage its thing or jamming its turret. While it was distracted, the 88mm guns go to the position. The first shot hit the tank. The Kiwi-1 tried to turn at the turret, but the gunner fired 2 more times. The turret stopped moving, but the tank didn't catch fire expected. To be sure, the German fired 4 more shells. Finally, the Kiwi-1 went silent. But the story wasn't over. When German soldiers climbed onto the tank to check out, they found only 2 holes. The other 5 should had bounced off. As they tried to open the hatch, the turret started moving again. A sapper managed to toss a grenade into one of the holes, and the explosion finally ended it. Inside they found 5 Soviet soldiers. A heroic stand there, stunned the enemy. The German were as if they buried the Soviet tank crew with the full military honors, respected their incredible bravery. As Rouse wrote, they fought their last breath, but this was just one small drama in the Great War. In 1965, the crew were reburied at the military cemetery of Raseiniai, but their name remained unknown to this day. This tank became a symbol of Soviet courage. 1 tank, 5 men, 2 days, and there stopped a German division in the track. It was only the first month of the war, but it showed German was where it did not brutal fight. The bigger picture, why the Kiwi-1 was came charged. To understand why the Kiwi-1 was such a big deal, let's talk about the economics and the tech behind it. The 1930s, the Soviet Union poured massive resources in the tank industry. By 1941, they had built around 600 Kiwi-1 and Kiwi-2 tanks. Each KV-1 cost about 650,000 rubles in 1940 prices. Think $1 million today. For comparison, the German Panzer IV cost about 100,000 Reichsmark, way cheaper. But the KV-1 was worth every penny. Its armor, up to 75mm thick in the thumb spots, was nearly impenetrable. The German nicknamed its Gaspens, like a ghost, because it seems to appear out of nowhere and wreak havoc. Reports from the time say KV-1 and KV-2 destroyed hundreds of German tanks and guns on single-handedly holding back enters units. That said, the KV-1 had flaps and 47 tons. It was heavy and slowly, and its engine and transmission were prone to breaking down. Fuel and spare parts were often scarce, as we saw in Raseiniai. But with the skilled crew, it was a rolling fortress. This isn't just about a tank, it's about people. 5 soldiers stuck in the hopeless situation chose the fight. They knew help was coming, their fuel was low, and the enemy was everywhere. If they stayed. Why? Maybe duty, maybe hope their stand would buy time for other soldiers, or maybe just a poor stubbornness refused to let the enemy win without a fight. I often wonder what I'd do in their shoes. It's hard to imagine, but stories like this make you think about what humans are capable of when the odds stacked against them. These guys didn't just fight, they threw down the gauntlet to the entry army. And then inspiring. It reminds us that even in the darkest time, there's room for heroism. Let's zoom out and look how tank like a KV-1 affected the war economy. The Soviet Union was an industrial powerhouse. In 1941, they built about 5,200 tanks, including 1,300 KV-1s and 2 T-34s. Germany produced around 3,800 tanks that year, but the Soviet faces a huge challenge. In 1941 and 1942, they had to move their factories to the Ural Mountains and Siberia to keep them safe from Germany. The slow production and getting supplies to the front was logistic nightmare. There, still the tank like a KV-1 bought time. They held the German back while the Soviet rebuilt this industry. By 1943, the USSR was charging out tanks like never before, while Germany struggled with resource shortage. Historians like David Glantz say this ability to keep production and replace it loose was key to the Soviet factory. The story isn't just about the past, isn't about what we can learn from it. It shows that one person, one team, one town can make a difference. It's reminded to keep fighting, whether you're facing an enemy on the battlefield or challenging in the life. The today's world, full of uncertainty, stories like this inspire us to stay strong and believable and believe in ourselves. I think the KV1 crew stand is more than a war story. It's a lesson. It's a life lesson. No more what you up against. Don't give up. And show the power of teamwork. Those 5 soldier workers won. And that what made their stand epic. If this story got you shocked, subscribe to our channel. We are got more incredible tales coming your way to spare your imagination and inspire you. Drop a comment below. What do you think of this crew courage? What would you have done in their place? What other stories from history 5 you up? Let's get the conversation going. Your comments fuel our next stories. So hit that subscribe button, share your through, and let's keep exploring history together. Thank you so much.